What's up everyone, welcome back to Own the Hunt. Today we're going to be covering the Talion XQ35 Pro and comparing it against the older Talion XQ38. Stick around. Alright guys, well like I said, we are back here in the Own the Hunt studios for another product review comparison kind of deal. Before we get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to Logan at Fall River Shooters. You guys, Logan is my thermal dealer, thermal god. This guy is everything to me. Without Logan, we wouldn't be able to do these things for you. So huge shout out Logan. If you guys want to pick up one of these thermal scopes after today's video or any thermal scope, definitely check out Logan at Fall River Shooters. He will get you set up with exactly what you want and need. These two scopes both were sent to me by Logan, and they're kind of just here on loan as a review. I don't really have any intentions of purchasing either of these scopes. However, I'm pretty impressed with them. So with that, let's go ahead and get started, you guys. Later on in the video, you guys, if you just came here for like comparison side-by-side footage, that's going to be at the later part of this video. I'm going to basically hook both of these scopes up to this plate that I made on a tripod, go out in some different weather conditions, hopefully some fog, and then hopefully some really clear, low humidity, get a really good side-by-side comparison of the two for you. And I'll put that closer to the end of this video. But for now, we'll just kind of compare these units as is, kind of physically, and then spec for spec. So physically, there's literally no difference in these scopes. They are identical. Like every single thing about them, all the bones compared here are identical. So the only way you could tell these two units apart, and I've been kind of playing games with myself because I'm like, which is which? And the only way is right here on the body, the diopter piece of the scope, you're gonna see the model, and that's it. Talion XQ35 Pro, Talion XQ38. That's really it, you guys. Everything else, physicality wise, the same. So I'm not really going to talk about anything as far as body components, things like that. They're the same. So going forward, we're going to talk about specs and kind of the slight differences here. But then I guess the next most important thing is going to be talking about price. So price on these guys is the same right now. You might be able to find an XQ38 for like somewhere around $22.99, but this XQ35 Pro is going to run you $24.99, $2,499. So I think they might be phasing out this XQ38. I don't think it's been fully discontinued yet as of the making of this video, but I know there's still some dealers that have these. Obviously Logan has this one. I'm not sure, but I think this might be being sent back to Pulsar because I think it is being phased out. But if you do want one of these, definitely reach out to Logan. I'm sure he can get you hooked up either way. And I'm sure he can give you a smoking deal on the XQ38. With that said, guys, what are the big differences? So with this Pro model, anything from Pulsar that you see Pro at the end, at least in today's day and age, what they've done is they've taken that standard sensor and they've gone to a lower NETD rating sensor, which is in this case, a sub 25 millikelvin sensor versus the XQ38 is a sub 40 millikelvin sensor. So what does that mean? I've explained it in other videos, but I'll kind of explain it quickly here. Essentially what that NETD rating is the scope's ability to pick up different or differences in heat. So it's a much more sensitive unit over here on the XQ35 Pro than the XQ38. So you're going from a sub 40 millikelvin to a sub 25 millikelvin. And I can tell you right now, I have the Thermion 2 Pro XQ50 LRF scope, and it has that Pro sensor with the sub 25 millikelvin. And I do notice it on poorer condition nights. So nights where there's a little bit of fog, some humidity, things like that, where your image would normally be degraded, you know, more substantially on the sub 40 millikelvin sensor, it does look a little nicer on the sub 25 millikelvin sensor. I'm not going to say that it is like, you know, blow you out of the water difference, but it is a little different. So is that a big enough reason? I'm not really sure. If you could really get this XQ38 on a steel, it's probably still a pretty awesome, you know, scope. And both of these scopes, I haven't mentioned this yet, but both of these scopes are a 384 core or 384 resolution as opposed to the higher resolution 640 units. Still gonna get a really nice image out of these guys. They're both 2.5 power, that's their base magnification. So they're gonna be better for like your closer range target acquisitions, maybe like some hog hunting at closer range. I would say 100 yards and in for your shots. Anything out beyond 100 as like your more frequent shots, like coyote hunters. If you're taking shots on coyotes, you know, 150, 200 yards, I feel like 2.5 might be just on a little bit on the low side for you guys in the 384 resolution. Now, if you're gonna step up to the 640 resolution, I think a 2.5, I think it can get the job done a little bit better because you have that little bit of higher resolution. You can zoom in a little bit more with your digital resolution or your digital zoom and identify, you know, your target a little bit easier with that higher resolution. So for this scope, I'm gonna say it's more geared towards, you know, your hog hunters or your closer range coyote hunting, and that's pretty much that. Once you step these things up from 2.5 to 5 power and then to 10 power, I mean, or actually I think they max out at 10 power, I believe. So, you know, these are gonna degrade pretty substantially at that highest digital magnification. So keep that in mind. So what do I really like about these scopes, guys? What I really like is, honestly, a lot of people have complained that these things are ugly. I will say they're not like, you know, the most awesome looking scope, right? They're kind of like what exactly? It looks like a big maglite flashlight is what a lot of people are saying. Here's the deal, guys. Like, the form factor on these is pretty good. Like it is a cross between kind of like a traditional scope and something a little bit futuristic, a little bit electronic, and that's okay. I think Pulsar did a pretty good job. So one of my favorite things about this scope is the battery system. So it is a proprietary battery, you guys. This uses the Pulsar APS-5T, and I'll show you guys. I have the little battery dual bank charger that comes in the box with these. I brought that out just to show you guys. But these batteries, they have a little cap on the top that is permanent. That's what the T represents on the APS-5T battery. The previous model, the APS-5, it didn't have this thing that was permanently attached to the battery. You had to like connect it, and people were losing those and stuff. So Pulsar went ahead and made the APS-5T, and so that is made for the Talion line, okay? So any of the Talions, they're gonna use this APS-5T. But what I really like is there's a simple little switch right here. Dropping stuff. You just press it, push it over, and that unlocks the battery door, and then you flip this battery door up, and there's a couple little holders right here. But essentially, you take, and there's a little notch on the battery. You line that up with this battery compartment. You slide the battery down in, and it can't go, you know, too far. It'll stop. Then you just close this battery door, slide that lever over while holding the door shut. This is obviously easier if it's attached to your shooting platform, but essentially that's it. So super easy and quick battery changes in the field and, you know, at home, wherever. Battery swaps are easy. Really like that. So then up front, I love this focus ring. It works really well. It's smooth. I've tested it. I like it. It works well. If you guys know, you follow the channel, you know I'm kind of a stickler on touch points, right? So like anything you touch, I feel like it has to be done well, and Pulsar did a nice job on this focus ring. I think it works really nice. This blue button here on the front is gonna be your power button. Just press it, the device will turn on, and then to turn it off, you press and hold it for like 3 or 4 seconds. Up here, you've got your turret. This is the only turret on this scope, and it's kind of like a little subdued turret that kind of sits down below, but essentially it's a dial, and it works really nicely for navigating your menus. And then you've got your standard video and picture record button, your magnification button, and then your menu button down here. So on this side, you guys, you've got a rubber door for your USB-C. That has that's where you're gonna get your data and your videos off, any pictures, things like that. But that's also where you could charge the unit if the battery was in it. And you could also power the unit with an external power source if that's something you wanted to do. So that's USB-C, nicely done. On the front, you guys, both these units have a spring-loaded front lens cap that does fold completely against the back of the housing. One thing to note, obviously, with the model number, the 35 versus the 38. So the 35 is going to have a 35mm front lens or objective lens. The 38 is going to have a 38mm objective lens. So I know some of you are probably thinking 35, 38, like maybe one does a better job at pulling in a clearer image, something like that. You can't really think of it like that, you guys. These are not, you know, traditional glass optics. These are thermal optics, and that makes no difference in this specification. So 35 versus 38, literally zero difference. You will not find a difference in that. Now the difference does come in with the sensor being slightly different. So you're gonna get a slightly better image out of this 35 Pro. I will tell you that both being 384 core, they're gonna be very, very, very close. Almost hard to tell at times, but that Pro sensor is gonna give you slightly better performance in certain conditions. Now, they both have a 17 micron sensor. So neither one of these have stepped down to the 12 micron sensor, and I think that's fine. Pulsar has used that 17 micron sensor for you know, the past few years now, and it's worked out really well for them. They're able to, you know, really pump out a pretty sweet image with these things. So no issues there with the 17 micron sensor. And that's pretty much it. The units both come with a mount. A lot of people say these mounts are nothing special. Well, that's true. They're really nothing special. But here's the cool thing. At least they come with a mount, you guys. When I bought my Thermion, it had 0 rings, no type of mount. And I was pretty bummed that I had to go out and buy, you know, an expensive mount to put it on my rifle. I suppose that's no different than when you go and you buy, you know, a nice traditional glass scope. However, I would like to see, with the price point of some of these scopes, I'd like to see them all come with a mount of some sort. So kudos Pulsar, they sent them out with these Talions. They are really pretty simple, you guys. They screw into the bottom of these units. They are adjustable. There are several holes on the bottom of these scopes, so you can adjust this for, you know, guys running bolt guns or AR styles. You can adjust this mount forward and back kind of to fit your needs. And then basically this is set up to run on Picatinny rail. So, you know, pretty standard there. And then they just, you screw these down and they clamp on your rifle. They're not a quick disconnect. They're not, you know, something that you'd want to be trying to return to zero all the time. They do work. They're highly functional, and they're quality. They're made nicely. They're machined well, and they're anodized nicely. So no real complaints. And my thought is, like, at least Pulsar gave you a mount. So super happy there, nothing to complain about. In the box on these scopes, you guys, you're gonna get pretty much the same thing in both, but we'll go over kind of the contents of the boxes. Obviously, Pulsar branding, pretty traditional there, of the blue and white. These flip open magnetic lid boxes. That's cool. I don't have the bag in the XQ35 Pro, but the contents are the same, you guys. They come with a nice carry case, if you care about that. Pretty standard of Pulsar. This is pretty much what all the Pulsar units ship in. Kind of a soft padded case with a zipper. Gonna pop it open. This one has all the plastic, you know, stuff, because it's gonna probably get resold. So we'll set that aside. But these come with a rubber eye cup, you guys. The eye cup's super nice on these. I really like it. It's the same design they use on their Thermion. It's kind of a magnetic cup, so you'll notice it's like it wants to stick to the scope, but basically you just push it on and it magnetizes to it, and then you've got a nice smooth ring to grab a hold of to adjust your diopter focus for your rear focus there. So I don't prefer these. I don't run these on anything. They are, you know, pretty comfortable. They're soft, nice, easy rubber, but I just don't prefer them. Also in the package, you're gonna get one of these dual bay APS-5 chargers. Those work really nice, and they're relatively quick if you use the cable supplied. You also get 2 APS-5T batteries, you guys. That's pretty generous of Pulsar. They supply 2 of these with each scope. So with the runtime on these, you're looking at Pulsar's saying 9 hours, okay? I'm not seeing 9 hours out of these. I'm seeing somewhere around 7 to 7.5. And that's with not video recording, Wi-Fi turned off, things like that. So I don't think that they're quite getting 9 hours out of these. I'm not really sure where the 9-hour benchmark came from, but from a benchmark where, you know, you just turn the scope on, leave it running, I'm seeing somewhere around 7.5 hours. So Be that as it may, it could be, you know, battery specific, things like that. But obviously with weather, you know, if it's super cold weather, you're gonna get slightly less battery performance. Super hot weather, it might get a little bit better battery performance, things like that. So keep that in mind. That's pretty much it, you guys. You get a little bit of hardware to put your mount on the scope. So you get a couple Allen keys, the screws necessary to secure that mount to the scope, and that's pretty much it. Love these scopes, really. They're nicely done. I think what Pulsar did with them is pretty impressive for the price point. I think they're trying to compete with some of the lower priced units by like AGM and Bearing Optics and things like that. But I think they're a great option for somebody looking to get into the game. You know, that 384 resolution, it's not the high end, but also it's not the low end, you guys. It's kind of in a sweet spot and it works really well. For those of you looking to make content, you may want to step up into the 640 resolution or something like that. But for the most, you know, for most people, 384 is going to get the job done. It's going to make most people, you know, pretty happy. These both have audio recording, and they do a pretty nice job with audio recording as well. That's kind of a big deal for me. I like to have good, you know, good audio in my videos when I put them out. So audio recording is a must for me, and I think pretty much everyone in the market now is going to audio supported on their scopes. So got to have the audio. Anyway, that's about it, you guys. I'm going to take these out in the field, get you guys some footage, some side-by-side comparisons, let you guys make your own decisions. I'd love to hear in the comments from you guys what you think. Do you think the XQ38 was worth upgrading to the 35 Pro? Or do you think they're basically the same? I mean, I'm going to let you guys decide. The footage should speak for itself. And so anyway, with that, guys, I'm going to take these out in the field and get you guys some footage. Stay tuned.
Alrighty, guys. Well, here we've got a coyote in a pasture about 75 yards away. I wasn't able to range him because he was just there, and I was trying to get footage in a hurry. Both these scopes are using the exact same brightness and contrast settings, and they're both using the high image boost that's built into the Pulsar algorithm. And so you can see the XQ35 Pro has a little bit crisper, brighter image, and a little more detail in the background as well. Okay, so here we have multiple deer all bedded down at 600 yards. I arranged them prior with my Thermion LRF, and what I really want to show here isn't really the animal clarity, it's the foreground and background. You'll notice the background on the 35 Pro is much more crisp, has a lot more detail, and the background on the XQ38 is really kind of washed out and lacking some of that detail. What they're doing here is using that Pro sensor with the lower NETD rating. That sub 25 millikelvin sensor on the Pro is really starting to shine here and separate itself. Important to note, the settings of contrast and brightness are the same on both scopes, and they are both in the ultra image boost mode on both scopes. Okay, so here we have two doe deer. They're at 100 yards. They end up moving out to 125 eventually here, but these two deer at 100 yards right here, and you'll notice that the image is a little bit harder to tell the difference at this range. So these two scopes, they really start to set themselves apart at longer distances, but you'll notice that at this range, these two scopes look really similar. Both contrast and brightness settings are identical here. They're both using the ultra mode. You see here I go into the 5x mode. You can see on the XQ35 Pro the image is a little brighter as far as the deer themselves. They appear brighter. That is just that Pro sensor picking up more heat and able to distinguish a little bit better the heat differences. And you'll notice that the trees in the background are a little bit more detailed on the 35 Pro, but that's again that Pro sensor. Well, that's going to do it on this video, guys. I hope this helped you make a purchase decision or just better educate yourself on the differences in the new thermal scopes out on the market today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button, share this content with your friends, and until next time on the Hunt, we'll see you later.